Hey everyone, this is Elenbaas from Nightlight Astrology. Today, we are going to take a look at Jupiter's upcoming square to Saturn, which is perfecting again this week. We had this square come around last August. We will also have it coming back once more in June of 2025. It is a major square, which we have talked about at length in terms of the archetypal combination of Jupiter and Saturn. Today, we're going to look at horoscopes for all 12 signs and give you a sense of where and how this Jupiter square Saturn dynamic might be landing in your chart and how it may be expressing itself in your life. So that is our agenda for today. Before we get into it, remember to like and subscribe, share your comments and reflections. We love hearing from all of you. You can find transcripts of any of these daily talks on the website, which is nightlightastrology.com. As of the time I am recording this, we have just about 7 more days left to go, about just about a week left in our annual Kickstarter campaign. Our backer goal this year is 1,937 backers by January 1st. That is 1 backer better than we did last year. We're trying to get to that same number or just a little bit better every year and grow support for the channel. There's 12,000 new subscribers on our channel in the past year. And so our hope is that we can replicate the backer total of support for this channel and all the free content we produce for 2025, and maybe even grow the support a little bit. As of the time that I am recording this, we still have over 1,100 more backers needed to reach our goal with just a week left. That is an impressive amount of backers that we still need. We've been a little slower this year, a couple days behind our pace, so we really need to try to pick it up now. Thank you so much to the over 800 people who have already donated and supported our channel, me, myself, and my family, our staff, all of the programs that we offer that make sure that astrology can be flexible and open for people of different socioeconomic backgrounds, so that astrology is accessible and affordable, our affordable reading service that you helped us set up, free events that we host. All of this is facilitated because of your generosity and your support of this free content that we produce year round. So if you get something good out of this channel, if this is a channel that you turn to for daily astrological support, a spiritual sense of companionship as we go through life, and we're able to take this beautiful symbolic language and apply it to our experience in order to reflect and deepen our connection with life itself, if this is something good that you get out of the channel, every donation helps us. Please consider supporting us in these final days as we make our big push to try and reach our goal. $5 helps, $10 helps. The total backer number matters because we know if we're close to that number, we're going to be in the financial range we need to keep everything going in the same general direction that we've been going in. And so, thank you again to everybody who's already donated. At the end of today's video, I will tell you about the rewards that are available when you support the channel, because the good news is that when you donate, you can also pick up a lot of cool gifts. We have exclusive content, your year ahead horoscope for all of 2025. That's like almost an 8-hour-long video looking at all of the horoscopes for the year ahead through all 12 signs. We have exclusive 2025 astrology video, a calendar for the year ahead that maps out everything I'm going to be talking about on the channel for you. You can also get the best deals of the year on our classes. You want to come study with us now, anytime in the future. Those are class passes that don't expire. You can bundle them together. I'll tell you all about those rewards that are available at the end of today's talk. You know it's serious when I'm doing horoscopes in the middle of the week, and we'll try and gain some support and cross the finish line strong. Again, this work is made possible and it's made free and distributed to so many people, almost 73,000 subscribers on this channel. And all it takes is a very small percentage of our audience to pitch in every year to support the channel and our staff and everything we do to make the school and everything we do very generous and accessible for everybody. So on that note, let's take a look at these horoscopes. And I hope that you are also enjoying a very nice Christmas Eve today, if you're celebrating. All right, bye. All right, let's go ahead and get into it. We're looking at Jupiter square to Saturn today, and we're going to do horoscopes for all 12 signs. Now, you could listen to any of these for your sun or rising sign. So as I name the sign and then give the horoscope, just know you can listen to that for your sun or rising sign. I always recommend rising because that'll correspond with the whole sign house version of your birth chart, which means the transits are going to be aligned with where they are actually moving through your birth chart right now. But you do you. I want to first mention the timeline of this transit. Of course, it is Christmas Eve today if you're celebrating, so I hope you would enjoy the holiday. Jupiter square to Saturn is coming almost 4 years to the day after we had a Jupiter-Saturn conjunction around the solstice of 2020. So it's fascinating that we're back around the same time of year with this dynamic. Let's take a look at it really quick here. You can see the 2 planets are squared today, December 24th And remember that this square has been building for the month of November into December as Jupiter's retrograde has taken it closer to Saturn. We also are going to be repeating this square in June of 2025. We took a look at that yesterday in the weekly overview, and we had a contact between these two planets in August of 2024. I've talked at length about the meaning of Jupiter-Saturn square, so I'm not going to say too much today about it other than when these two planets get in touch with each other, there is a natural way in which our wisdom and understanding will be evolving or shifting. Now, the wisdom or understanding of life in general could be what we're looking at here. We could also be looking at wisdom and understanding with respect to particular dimensions of our life as parents, as friends, as lovers, or as students of a particular trade or craft. Think about paradigms shifting. Think about understanding evolving. Think about the structures and systems of your life that provide you with some degree of clarity or coherence or direction, and how they take shape and how they change. These are the things that tend to happen under dynamic aspects between Jupiter and Saturn, which is why they are also reflected in major structural changes, often within governments and institutions, places of education, religion, etc. We have done so much content on this square in the past year that I don't want to overdo it by saying all of the same things over again. I would look at yesterday's weekly overview and go back into my archives. If you search Jupiter Saturn, you're going to find that over the past couple months, we've done a number of episodes really detailing the archetypal combination of Jupiter and Saturn. So without repeating all of that, we're just going to look today at their square through the lens of the whole sign horoscope. So I'm going to take a unique approach to life. That too. We're going to take a unique approach to our horoscopes today by looking at the horoscopes through the four motivations of human life that are described in Vedic astrology, Indian philosophy. And we're going to apply it to these horoscopes and get a little creative with the way we delineate horoscopes today. So in ancient Hellenistic astrology, as in ancient Vedic astrology, houses are grouped according to connections of three houses. So let me just show you how this looks in the chart. And these connections of houses by trines are also connected to, in Indian astrology, three philosophical human motivations for life. So when we look, for example, houses 12, 4, and 8 are all connected by trines. Houses 5, 9, and 1 are all connected by trines. 6, 2, and 10 all connected by trines. And 11, 3, and 7 all connected by trines. So each of those triadic sets of houses were connected in Indian astrology to four basic human motivations for life. Or another way of putting it might be that there are different things that we regularly seek as human beings, embodied souls in this lifetime, that are unique to us human beings. And so those areas were associated with the triadic houses. And so one way of looking at a Jupiter-Saturn square is going to be between some of the tensions or potential conflicts of values or motivations across two different philosophical areas of life. I think this is, when I started doing this recently, I found that it is really useful when forming horoscopes or delineations for clients. And in fact, this is at the heart of my 2025 masterclass series, which, by the way, you can pick up through the Kickstarter. In those masterclass series, we're going to be looking at 12 classes on the year, and 3 classes are dedicated to the triadic houses each. So we have 4 masterclass series covering all of the different triadic connections. And we're looking at those as ways of delineating broader pursuits of human life within the birth chart. And I've found that this is just a really unique, fascinating way to do things, much more common in Indian astrology, but also present in ancient Hellenistic astrology. So anyway, on that note, let's talk about what these 4 motivations of human life are and then get into our horoscopes. Number 1 is Dharma. And let me put it this way. Hilda, she's not in here right now because my mom is visiting. And so she's out where the action is with everyone right now while I'm recording. But Dharma for Hilda is, she is a guardian dog breed. And so her Dharma, her job, is to guard. It is innate to her instinctual body to be protective of our home. We had a huge Thanksgiving gathering, and the house was just, pretty much a disaster after having like 30 people from my wife's side of the family. So we had professional cleaners come to help us afterward. Hilda was at the door when they got there, and you could have sworn that Satan himself was at the front door. I was, oh my God, what is going on? Well, there was like, 4 women who were getting out of a van with their cleaning equipment coming up to the front door, and Hilda was going absolutely bananas because that's her job. That's her dharma. Her essence, her dharma, her duty, what she's born in some ways to do is to protect. That's in the breed. Guardian breeds are like that. By the way, I'm really excited to tell you guys this on a side note. We lost the dog a year ago, and we've been, it was tragic. She was 10 years old. And when we got Hilda, originally it was because we've had 2 dogs for most of our lives. So anyway, we thought, okay, well, we're going to wait a while, but eventually we want to get another dog so that Hilda has a playmate. And we've been a 2-dog family for a long time. So anyway, we've been looking at puppies, and looks like we're probably getting a puppy sometime in the new year. So I'm really excited about that. And maybe you guys will I'll get to introduce you to the puppy at some point. Because it looks like that's what we're doing right now. It's like, it's Mercury retrograde, so we're going to think on it. Anyway, wow, I'm off track telling you about dogs. But the dharma of a dog is to protect if you're a guardian breed, or some breeds are like shepherds, they're herding dogs, or some dogs are hunting dogs, or some dogs are like work dogs. So dogs have that sense of dharma. It's really easy to identify in a dog because it's kind of a simple example. But like in India, they would say one of the dharmas of a cow is to give milk. That's one of in the dharma of a cow. Obviously, their dung was used to fuel fires. Still is. Like, it was amazing when I was in India and we were out in the country, and there would be like dung patties, like baking in the sun, be using fuel for fire. So the dharma of a cow is to produce things that are sacred. And anyway, that's a whole subject because there's so many uses for the cows. One of the reasons why it's sacred, because its dharma provides so many things for people. They protect cows and so forth. Anyhow, each of us there's an area of life in which we are meant to explore. What is my job? Right? Now, that's a broad question, right? It's a deep question. And it doesn't have to be just one thing so simple like guard or, bark at the cleaners or whatever. It could be something that, maybe it's a little bit like a mandala where there's a number of different interconnected images that reflect who you are and what your role is, what your essence is, what you're here to give in sacred service to the whole, to the people in the little world that you're in, or the big world that you're in. All of us are in different worlds, and we have something to offer, something to give, something that is of our essence, a role to play in the Leela of creation, the play of creation. We're assigned a role on the stage of life. So what is our role? This is the question of dharma, and it's connected to 3 houses in astrology: the 1st house, the 9th house, and the 5th house. And there are reasons for that I won't go so deeply into, because today we're going to keep it pretty simple. The second area of life is Arta. Arta would be connected to houses 10, 2, and 6, and the triad of houses are all connected to things like work, occupation, or vocation, but also things like power, prestige, wealth within a greater society. And so those houses are going to be connected to the development of your vocation, reputation, wealth, power, prestige. So it can be very materialistic, those houses, with respect to thinking that all of our worth is derived from how good we are at something, or how wealthy we are, or how powerful, or what our status is, our reputation, but also has a very common sense of like work and occupation and things like that. So that pursuit of life, Arta, ancient philosophers in India said, was a common pursuit of life. All beings born into bodies have some relationship with this area of life, just like we have a relationship with Dharma. Kama is, as in the Kama Sutra, the pursuit of bliss or happiness socially and relationally. These houses would be 11, 7, and 3. The houses connected in these trines are all related to a certain social dimension of life and the pursuit of happiness, bliss, enjoyment with respect to social connections and relationships. There are different levels at which this works. The 11th is a little different than the 7th, is a little different than the 3rd. But all of these houses have in common the desire to have fruitful, enjoyable contact with other human beings, to enjoy life and to seek pleasure through social intercourse. So there's a very social dimension of life, and a dimension in which we are social animals that also seek pleasure, seek connection, seek happiness with each other. Now, there is also the philosophical area of life. Humans are motivated to find moksha, which is release or liberation. Now, release or liberation in a very basic way, the houses here are 4, 8, and 12. The liberation we seek may be from unhealthy attachments, codependencies, attachment to fears and anxieties, to be free, to be liberated as a soul, as a being, as in enlightenment, or as in liberation from worldly struggles or worldly bondage, entrapment in karmic dynamics that are enslaving in some way. And so the natural way we seek release from the world, for example, maybe through home, rest, your bedroom, very fourth house kinds of things. Eighth house, we seek release from worldly suffering through advantageous relationships with other people, or we seek to be free from binding karmic contracts with other people that entangle, and so on. And the 12th house also is the pursuit of mystical otherworldliness and release from body and world, but also the kinds of sicknesses that may come in spiritually, mentally, physically, that take us out of a feeling of being in control, but that also remind us that we are mortal and may be the kinds of crises that are also enlightening somehow. So those are little examples. The moksha houses are about the pursuit of liberation and the need to burn off unhealthy attachments. They need to seek a sense of spiritual freedom. These are all common areas of human life. So what's interesting is if we look at the Jupiter-Saturn dynamic as a square, not just between two planets that represents paradigmatic change, but as a paradigmatic change happening in our charts between two conflicting areas of philosophical interest or human pursuit. So that's where we're going to go today. And I think this is just a fun, interesting way of looking at it. And I'm going to keep this really simple. So let's start with Aries. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to point out the two areas of human life that are being activated. And I'll type them in so you can think about it. So in the 12th house, we have moksha for Aries versus kama in the 3rd house. Now, I'm just going to use this first example for Aries to kind of explain how we're going to do each of these signs. But basically, a square is of the nature of Mars. And so the potential in any square for conflict or tension and for the need to act and do something or to face something that is challenging, an adversity of some kind, to overcome it. These are all the kinds of things that are usually implied by any kind of square. So if we have paradigmatic change happening through a square between two different philosophical areas of life, this is where things become really fascinating. So we're going to now, given all that, let's break it down. So for Aries, moksha versus kama, we're talking about a philosophical conflict that's at the heart of this paradigmatic change between Jupiter and Saturn for Aries that has to do with the tension between the pursuit of spiritual liberation, the pursuit of liberation from things that are unhealthy or entangling, and relationships in life, perhaps more familial or ancestral in the 3rd house, perhaps more common, rooted in your culture, neighborhood, village, family. But we're talking about the paradigmatic change happening through an examination of the need for spiritual liberation as it is existing in a kind of intense relationship with immediate local relationships and the need for harmony or pleasure within them. See, that's a fun, interesting, broad sort of philosophical way of filtering the Jupiter-Saturn square. So that's it. It's that simple. We're just going to think about it through this lens. And then broadly, how can you notice that taking place? Like if you're an Aries, explore things like siblings, family relationships, relatives, neighborhood, village, environment, and this need for greater spiritual liberation or freedom or disentanglement from things that are unhealthy, etc. So moksha versus kama. All right, let's move along. So we go to Taurus next. And with Taurus, we're looking at 11 and 2. The tension of this paradigmatic change across 11 and 2 can broadly be put in terms of, let's see here. Sorry. Kama versus artha. So here we're looking at a relationship that boils down philosophically across the 11th and 2nd between social harmonization and things like wealth, the development of business or career or finances or assets and resources. And so there's a kind of philosophical development happening around things like friends, community, a social dimension of life that is about connecting with other people, and that is also about the development of things like money, resources, assets, and business. So kama, pleasure in human connections and groups and people and community, in a kind of conflict with the needs or desires of the second house around things like money, business, wealth, and assets. That tension is at the heart of a paradigmatic change that's taking place for Tauruses right now. So you see how that works. It's really a fun way of looking at it. And I've been getting a lot of good use out of looking at things this way in not only this kind of transit, but all kinds of transits in general. It gives a nice philosophical container to work with. All right, so now we are looking at Geminis, and we see Jupiter and Saturn across the 1st and 10th houses. So now we're into the realm for Geminis. We're looking at artha versus dharma. This is fascinating because we're talking for Geminis, we're looking at, oops, let's see, there we go. We're looking for Gemini rising. We're looking at the philosophical paradigmatic changes happening within the chart through the 10th and 1st houses, the concerns of occupation, vocation, status, wealth, power, the development of your reputation in the world versus questions about your essence. What is my job? What is my role? What is my role in creation? Who am I really? And you can see how the paradigmatic change has to do with the conversation taking place between dharma and artha, the vocation and essence of character. Fascinating to look at it that way. All right, let's advance this a little bit more. So for Cancer rising, we're now looking at, oops, let me draw this in first. So here we're looking at the 12th and 9th houses for Cancers. And here we have dharma versus moksha. Fascinating. So in these two houses, in the 9th house, we have the philosophical pursuit of wisdom. How do we understand dharma personally? But in the 9th, it's also how do we understand it universally? In other words, what is the purpose for which creation itself is made and remade every day? What is the inherent essence and role of divinity and of life itself? So the exploration of dharma in a more universal sense is contained in the 9th house, which of course always accompanies our exploration of dharma personally. And then moksha in the 12th house, how to be free from unhealthy attachments, problematic things within ourselves or within relationships. So that quest for spiritual liberation and the pursuit of dharma, of truth and understanding, those two things coming into conversation across the 9th and 12th houses for Cancers. You could see how deep and profound that kind of paradigmatic change could be for you. All right, let's continue on. For Leos, we see the Jupiter-Saturn dynamic across the 8th and 11th. So these houses bring together moksha versus kama. Very fascinating, because we have two different ways that this can go across the 8th and the 11th. On the one hand, we're thinking about the most pleasing, beneficial, harmonious kinds of social contacts and connections. But on the other hand, we're thinking about what may enslave or entrap us karmically and what we need to be free of karmically. So you can see how the exploration of socially beneficial, advantageous, pleasing, and relationships and connections socially, organizationally within groups of people, allies that are beneficial and enjoyable, kama, are also being pitted against that which may enslave and entrap with Saturn in the 8th and the need to be free from unhealthy entanglements. So moksha versus karma also places questions about freedom and liberation spiritually against the need for beneficial or advantageous relationships and social connections and pleasure in those realms. See how fascinating that is. I just love it looking at it this way. All right, let's go to Virgo. So for Virgo, we see Jupiter and Saturn across the 10th and the 7th houses. And let's go ahead and look at it from this standpoint. So now we have Kama versus Artha. So here we have an interaction between Saturn in the 7th, Jupiter in the 10th, houses of Kama and Artha. The question about what is pleasing, beneficial, and enjoyable in relationships versus what is powerful and beneficial for us in terms of reputation, vocation, power in the world, status, notoriety, mastery. So when these two come into contact, especially with Saturn in the 7th, we might be asking ourselves, what relationships bring me advantage and which do not? And we might also be looking at the fact that some relationships that bring us deep pleasure do not necessarily bring us expansion of power or notoriety. And so there could be conflicts between the amount of importance we place on happiness in relationships versus success or prestige or development of vocation. And those two philosophical areas of life are a part of a paradigmatic change that's happening right now for Virgos. All right, for Libras, we see the Jupiter-Saturn dynamic across the 9th and the 6th. So let's place that into these philosophical containers here. We have Artha versus Moksha. This is fascinating. The 6th house is, of the Artha houses, the 6th house really pertains to the kind of chop wood, carry water dimension of building and developing things like resources, assets, wealth, power, career. It is the workaday world in the 6th house, as well as the sacrifices that are necessary for the development of status, reputation, wealth, ability, skill, and so forth. The things that we work hard for. And then we have the 9th house here in relation to moksha, the pursuit of, or excuse me, I said moksha. That's a mistake. Sorry, my bad. It's dharma. Let me redo that. So we have, I got the first part right. Sorry. Artha versus dharma. Oops, here we go. Okay, so in the second hour, we're looking at the 9th house through the lens of dharma, which is the pursuit of truth and wisdom, an understanding about reality and the universe. The cultivation of philosophical understanding of illumination and enlightenment. The 9th house is called the joy of the sun. So it's interesting because there could be a conflict right now between all of the work, sacrifice, and effort we're putting in to achieve certain things and evolving understanding of truth, wisdom, or philosophy, religious or spiritual development in our lives. And sometimes the two are going to come together then to say, do you really believe in what you're doing? Do you really feel like what you're building and developing and sacrificing and working hard for is aiming you toward something that feels true and clear philosophically? Oftentimes when people have a lot of spiritual growth in their life, they start realizing that what they work so hard for has nothing to do really with who they are, or what is real or true in reality. I've met many people, for example, when I went to Peru, who were there, a lot of people from Wall Street, for example. They were, people who could afford a trip to Peru to drink ayahuasca, who were coming away saying, man, I don't know why I work on Wall Street. I just had a philosophical breakthrough, spiritual breakthrough. It's having me question what and how and why I'm working the way that I am. See how that Artha versus Dharma can come into an intense dialogue across these houses. It can also be about what kinds of philosophical, spiritual, even religious motivations are worth serving or working for in the world, or what is the conflict between the worldly work you do and the spiritual values or intellectual development that you also need in life to feel as though you're evolving as a person with understanding of who you are and why you're here. So Libras have a fascinating square there. All right, let's go on. With Scorpios, we have the square across the 5th and the 8th. So we look at this in terms of Dharma versus Moksha. So on the one hand, we have the fifth house representing the human need to feel that when we are in alignment with our own dharma, with our own essence, that there is happiness and there is an overflow of creativity such that you feel satisfied. Like I'm doing something that is creatively reflective of my essence. So for example, I would say that one of the, the dharma of an artist may be to be artistic. Like a dog is going to guard, an artist is going to make art. The fifth house are your artistic creations and the joy that you derive from them, and the good fortune that comes and the happiness and the good vibes that come from doing things that flow forth from your dharma and receiving and reaping. There's good karma that comes from being in alignment with your dharma. That's sort of what the fifth house is about. So the fifth house is about this need for creative satisfaction. Are you getting that satisfaction? Are you in touch with that creative part of yourself that is your dharma? On the other hand, moksha in the eighth is often about those people that either help us to feel free or feel liberated, like someone who gives you a grant to do art, or someone who maybe you feel entangled with or by that prevents you from feeling like you can do things that are in your essence. But there are questions about what kinds of attachments or connections are healthy and facilitating the liberation of your soul, and what kinds of connections or attachments are keeping you in some kind of debt or entrapment that would then conflict with the expression of your dharma creatively. That is a really interesting way of looking at it for Scorpios right now. All right, let's go on to Sagittarius. For Sagittarius, we put Jupiter and Saturn into square across the fourth and the seventh, excuse me. So now we're looking at moksha versus kama. So when we look at this, now we're talking about the need for release and rest and security and safety. And in a sense, the fourth house is about, you go home every night into your home or your resting place. It was called the resting place as a way of releasing from worldly concerns, work, bills. Ideally, your fourth house should be a place of rest and sanctuary. The need for that place of rest, safety, security, as well as the need to release from unhealthy attachments or entanglements that come from your past, from your family, from family karma, is in a kind of intense dialogue with the need for beneficial, pleasing, harmonious connections in love, marriage, and relationships. So the two are in an intense dialogue. There's paradigmatic change happening between the need for pleasure and benefit and upliftment and joy and happiness in intimate sphere of life, in interpersonal relationships, and this need for liberation from the world, for security, safety, and a release from suffering, or from the release of unhealthy ancestral karma that needs healing. So this area of life coming into intense dialogue with the sphere of intimacy and the need for pleasure in relationships, connection in relationships, benefit in relationships. So see Sagittarians there. Now, Capricorns, we see Jupiter and Saturn connecting across the sixth and the third. We're looking here now at a house that is kama versus a house that is considered artha. So kama versus artha, this is very fascinating because the third house realm of kama is really our everyday village life realm of kama. It's supposed to be things like your relatives, your kin, your siblings, your neighbors, your neighborhood, your village, your community, your everyday life, local travel in your everyday life. It's a kind of everyday fish tank world that you swim in, and the need for pleasure and enjoyment and some degree of happiness within that realm. And then on the other hand, the sixth house is the world of artha, where we are working and dedicating and sacrificing and laboring, sometimes intensely, sometimes feeling enslaved or entrapped by the work we're doing, other times in flow or alignment with what we're doing. So Jupiter in the sixth is trying to bring an aura of peace, happiness, abundance, support to the realm of artha, in which we are trying to develop and build and make things that we actually care about and sacrifice for things that we love, that we're trying to build within the realm of things like work, resources, status, occupation. Or on the other hand, we see a tension in the realm of our immediate everyday environment. And so it's as though the workaday world and the everyday world and the enjoyment or pleasure of the everyday world are in conversation with each other. Can our everyday world, work, and life be happy, harmonious, beneficial? Can we work toward things we care about and feel connected to people around us in good ways? This may also be a time where, to whatever extent we need to change something about the way we work or the local environment around us, we have to do so that things will be happier and work will be more effective somehow. For Aquarians, we see the connection between Jupiter and Saturn across the 2nd and 5th. And here we're looking now at the houses of Arta versus Dharma. So in the 2nd house, we're concerned with our resources, our assets, acquisition of skills, development of resources, whether that's business or skills you have that you use to make money, things that you have or are in possession of, things that support you and prop you up on a material level. And then in the 5th house, we're looking at the joy that we need to experience creatively by being in touch with the essence of who we are. Sometimes the bills pile up and it feels like you're forced to do things that stifle your creativity because the bottom line is the bills. On the other hand, sometimes if the bottom line is the bills for too long, you end up passing up opportunities that could actually be more alleviating financially if you took a little bit of risk and didn't let worry, fear, or anxiety about the future be the only thing that dictated what choices you make. There's some kind of conversation happening between the need for joy and creative fulfillment and the bottom lines around things like work, resources, business, assets, accumulation of wealth, development of career. These two things are in a dialogue right now that is creating paradigmatic change for you as an Aquarius. Go forward to Pisces in the 1st with Saturn and Jupiter in the 4th, Gemini. Now we're between Dharma versus moksha. Fascinating combination for Pisces, because now we're looking at questions about your essence. When Saturn's in the 1st house, you can doubt your essence. It's like a dog who doesn't know what its job is. It's like a human who says, I don't really know why I'm here. I don't know what I'm good at. I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I don't know who I am. I don't know what role I'm meant to play. Or there's a very serious, concentrated effort to dedicate yourself, to define your role, to clearly see what it is and commit to it with a great sobriety and sense of maturity. That's Saturn in the 1st as well. Either way, with such focus on character, essence, calling, there's a dialogue going on between the 4th house, which is the need for liberation from suffering, liberation from the world, a safe place to nest, liberation from unhealthy family or ancestral karma, the need to be liberated spiritually and find a state of rest and ease and emotional comfort or security from the world, is also in this very intense dialogue with the question of your essence and your identity and what role you're here to serve. Dharma and moksha, especially moksha with respect to things like home, family, relatives, ancestral karma, in a conversation that its tension is producing paradigmatic change. So I hope you like these horoscopes along these philosophical lines. The 4 motivations of human life, dharma, artha, kama, moksha, have been spoken about for thousands of years in Indian philosophy and are a basic part of how the houses are organized in Indian astrology. This will also be at the heart of my 2025 masterclass series. So I highly recommend, if you like this, if you're like, wow, that's an interesting lens through which to look at the houses, check out that masterclass series. It's on sale through the Kickstarter. I'd love to have you guys there. If you can follow along with this, you have a little bit of background in traditional house theory, you'd be fine in that masterclass series too. But join us for all of our programs. We have a ton of really great, amazing learning content, a 1st-year class in Hellenistic astrology that begins in June and November of next year, a 2nd-year class, a 3rd-year class, a horary program, masterclass series every year, archived masterclasses from past years, and of course, a monthly webinar. So one of the things that I'm very passionate about is using my platform to educate as well as delineate, and then using the platform also to build up successful astrologers and to promote the careers of other astrologers. I think that if astrologers like myself have developed a career and you have a stable sort of stability, it's important to use that to build the success of other astrologers so that the field and industry thrives for generations to come. Something I'm very passionate about. If you are too, please consider donating and supporting the Kickstarter campaign. We have a long way to go. We need a lot more help before January 1st. So thank you to everybody who's donated, and stick around now as I tell you about all the rewards you can get when you support the channel, including major discounts on all of our online classes, and also some other unique gifts that I'll tell you about. All right, take it easy. Hey everyone, thanks for sticking around. I'm going to tell you about the different rewards that we offer when you donate and support our channel in the year ahead. So you'll find a link to the Kickstarter in the description of this video, in the comments section of this video, as well as on our website, nightlightastrology.com. If you head over there, you'll see at the top of the page there is a menu item that says Kickstarter 2025. You can click on that and be taken over to the Kickstarter campaign page. So once you're there, if you scroll down on the right-hand side, you're going to see different pledge levels and different gifts and sales that we run as a way of saying thank you for your support. So among those, our most popular offering by far are the major discounts that we offer on our training programs. So if you are interested in studying astrology at Nightlight in 2025, whether you're a brand new student or a currently enrolled student who's thinking of taking one of our year 2, 3 horary programs, you're going to find that these are the best rates that we run on the entire year. And we do this as a way of both saying thank you and also of helping us raise funds to support the channel, our staff, and everything we do. So you'll see attend one Nightlight course there. That's about 50% off the total cost of the program and about $500 off the early bird rate. And then you'll scroll down and you'll see that if you bundle 2 courses together, the savings go way up. Bundle 3, they go up even more. I mean, the difference between the 2 and 3 class package is $200. So $200 more, you get 3 of our year-long programs. And if you get all the way to the 4 class pass, then you have all 4 years of our program. You can take them at any pace you like, renew them whenever you like. There's no timeline on when you use these class passes. And you will have all 4 years of content at about 75% off each of the programs individually when you get that bundle. So those are our best savings for sure. Highly recommend those. If you have any questions about our courses or programs, email us info@nightlightastrology.com or look at the website under the courses page. You'll find information about each of the individual courses we offer. And then if you scroll up, you're going to find some of our other programs that are greatly discounted. Ashley's Herbal Foundations apprenticeship course, which many people are interested in who come through our Moon Circle that Ashley and I lead each month. You scroll up, you're going to find our Masterclass series for 2025, greatly discounted, as well as our Roots and Spheres Moon Circle, greatly discounted. There's hundreds of dollars of savings in each of those. So we really try to make sure that the Kickstarter acts as a good flash sale for all of our programs. You'll then find some really nice prices on previous archive talks, like our 2024 archive masterclass bundle, which is about 30 hours worth of content on specialized topics in astrology. You can see the topics listed in each of the bundles as you scroll through. 2023's masterclass bundle, huge savings on those and a lot of really great content. You'll see a few reading options as you continue to go from the bottom to the top. You'll see the 2025 year ahead mini reading. There's only 30 of these. These are individualized birth chart readings that I do, looking at the most significant transit in your birth chart for 2025. I record those personally. You'll then see that there is an Ask 3 Horary Questions option where you can get 3 horary questions to redeem whenever you'd like within the year ahead. Those are kind of yes, no predictive questions. Will I get the job? Will we get together? Things like that. Then you'll see the Astrology for Complete Beginners course is also discounted through the Kickstarter. This is a great 10 hours worth of content for people who are brand new to astrology. So whether that's you or maybe a gift for somebody else. And then you're going to see some individual master classes that are greatly discounted from the past year. So all of 2024's masterclass series are the archives of which 8 to 10 hours each are on sale. And then scroll up a little bit more and you'll see one of our most popular offerings, which are the year ahead horoscope readings. These year ahead horoscope readings include 30 to 45 minutes of a breakdown of all the major transits of the year ahead for each sun and rising signs. You get all of them with this package, which is a great deal. It's like 10 hours worth of content, 8, 9, 10 hours, somewhere in there. I haven't finished recording all of them yet. So as of the time I'm recording this, I'm anticipating it'll land around 10 hours. But yeah, anyway, so you scroll up, you'll see those horoscope videos will all be delivered to you right around January 1st when the Kickstarter ends. Scroll up a little bit more, you'll find The Oracle Speaks, which is my book, and this is being released chapter by chapter. It is a book about the inner experience of learning to speak with oracles, and it is being released chapter by chapter in both text and audiobook form, so you can listen along to my new book. And that takes us up to the Astrology of 2025 video. This, for your donation at the $50 level, gives you an exclusive talk breaking down all of the major astrological transits of 2025. I look in depth at some of the biggest things happening in the year ahead and break them down in advance. And that's the only place I release that video or that take on the whole year ahead. Finally, at the very top, the most basic level of donation, you'll see the Astrology of 2025 calendar. This is a PDF calendar we design and make that allows you to track and move along with the astrology as the year unfolds. This is also great if you want to track what we're going to be talking about week by week on my channel. You'll get a glimpse at the biggest transits of each day and month and week. And that will give you some sense of where we're heading with our coverage of the astrology on the channel as the year unfolds. So again, any questions about any of the rewards that you see, email us info@nightlightastrology. Link is in the description, comments, or on the website, nightlightastrology.com. Help us get to 1,937 backers by January 1st. We deeply appreciate your contribution. We try to make sure we have some really special rewards to say thank you when you contribute. All right, take it easy. Bye.